Greetings. Welcome to today's special session on useful trading workflows that can be implemented using Q systems. I'm taking this session because when watching my market recaps that I make during the weekends, people asked me some questions that how I am navigating so smoothly from one application to another application. In the market recaps, I don't have time to explain all the operations. There are masterclass videos available for the details, but I thought I will take these sessions, this today's session, to go through the steps slowly and explain exactly what I am doing. That is the purpose of today's session, to show exactly how I implement different workflows. Hello, Somo. Disclaimer: this demonstration is for educational purposes only. I'm not an investment advisor. It is not a trade recommendation. Trading involves risk. You and only you are solely responsible for the outcome of trades. I may mention about options trading from time to time. You may refer to the characteristics and risks of standardized options document from OCC to decide if options trading is suitable for you. I use the Q systems for my trading. All the components run on Metastock platform. The technical analysis component runs on TradeStation as well. I will use most of the Metastock components today, maybe all of them, and I may or may not use TradeStation depending on how much time the rest takes. However, you may use TradeStation, that is Q Elite on TradeStation, for the technical charting part or finder part instead of using Q Global on Metastock as well for the technical part. Few notes: the version I am using may vary slightly from the generally released version. I am working on the development computer here. However, the workflow steps will still be entirely replicatable on your computer. These are some examples of workflows I use. You may create your personalized workflow or workflows using the same powerful Q systems. Once you understand how they work individually and how the Q systems work together, how the integration works, then you may create your own personalized workflows. Though I may use one country market, maybe the USA market in this presentation, the same can be implemented for other countries' markets as well, including India, China, Hong Kong, etc. The tools that are going to be used in this presentation for the workflows, they are Q Global for charting and scanning, Q Edge for sector industry rotation analysis, Q Vital for fundamental analysis, and Q Finder for finding technical setups. Q Elite, as I mentioned, is the platform on TradeStation that allows us to do the technical analysis. That is the equivalent of Q Global or Metastock. So the works that I'm going to show using Q Global, you could do that in Q Elite while keeping the rest of the platforms same. Some more notes. Q Dives, that is the Diary, Index, Vital, Age, and Season. These 5 programs combined together, they are called Q Dives. They have smart action and filter buttons that intelligently figure out the current context. Why I am describing this is when I work on the workflows on live market or after the market, I know what context I am going to act on when I am using the smart actions or filter buttons. How to identify the context is intuitive, and as I go along, I will explain them more. Here is one example. To look up industries, the Smart Action button uses the context of selected industries or implicitly selected. Sorry, not industries. To look up industries, the Smart Action button uses the context selected or implicitly selected stocks in the stock scorecard. So we generate the stock fundamental scorecard, then we select some of them of our interest based on fundamental analysis. Then we can use the lookup industries Smart Action button. The selected stocks are the are used to generate the context. Now there is something called implicitly selected. I'll explain that later when I operate the systems. Implicit selection means the cursor happens to be on the header row for the stocks list. And usually if you operate the systems, you will see it goes to where it needs to go. The cursor goes to where it needs to go when you operate the systems. So that is one note, that the context is important. Once you understand that, it will be easier to operate. That is, apply the Smart Action buttons on your selected context. The other thing to remember when you implement the workflows is that all the QDives programs have Smart Action buttons that are color coded. The orange color takes you to an outside application, physically outside application. So it could be another Excel program like navigating from Edge to Vital, Edge to Finder, or it could be another charting program. So it could be from Edge to Q Global or Metastock. So whenever we see a Smart Action button in orange color, we know after selecting the context that we are going to take the context and send it to the external application that is represented by the Smart Action buttons. And the Smart Action buttons are visually intuitive. We know from looking at the buttons what they do. And there is a way, if you are just starting with Q systems, there is a way to learn the systems buttons easily. I'll show that how to use the help buttons. So coming back to the color coding, orange color Smart Action buttons take us to outside applications, and if the button is in cyan color, it keeps you inside the application. For example, suppose we are looking at the strongest industries in Q Edge's industry scorecard. Then if we use the cyan peer analysis button, that is stock peer analysis, that will help you drill down into Q Edge's stock scorecard. Remember, cyan button keeps you inside the application. So when I drill down from the selected industries to stocks using the cyan button, it will keep me inside Q Edge. It will show me only the stocks in Q Edge that belong to the context, that is my selected industries. On the other hand, if we use the orange peer analysis button from the same scenario, it will drill down to Q Vitals stock scorecard. So same context in Q Edge, same selected industries, but depending on whether I am using the cyan peer analysis button or the orange peer analysis button, it takes me to either Q Edge's stock scorecard, which is based on S&P 1500 stocks for the USA market, Nifty 500 stocks for India market, and orange color will take us to Vitals stock scorecard. What is that universe? That universe is what you choose to be. Usually for the USA market, I use the universe of all liquid stocks. Liquid stocks meaning at least 500,000 shares traded per day, minimum $5 price. For India market, I tend to use the universe of Nifty 500 stocks. That is for stock trading, and if I am trading only futures and options in India on an account, then I may load only the stocks in India that have futures and options. So this will keep in mind that the context is important, and then we will use the different color coded buttons to go to the appropriate target application. If you are not following me right now, you will follow it. You may come back to the video, keep this slide open and see how I am using these two design aspects in implementing my workflows. Now some commonly used trading workflows. Top down, starting with QEdge. QEdge has sector industry rotation analysis. One may look at the strongest sectors, then go to the strongest industries, then go to the strong fundamental stocks, and finally look for their trade setups. This is a very robust technique. Many traders using Investors Business Daily, CAN-SLIM followers follow that, HSI traders follow that. I also use it often. However, I don't always drill down from sector level. I keep an eye on the sectors, but my drill down for finding trades starts from industry level so that the averaging of industries in a sector does not result in missing some important industries and trades. So I use this quite often. The other very popular workflow is bottom up or technical first, starting with QFinder. Here we run QFinder on our selected universe, maybe the futures and option stocks, maybe all liquid stocks for the USA market. We run the technicals first. This will quickly eliminate the stocks that have no trade setup at present. That's useful. So we will not be biased into taking a trade where we have no proper setup. That will help us to be more disciplined. Quickly eliminates the stocks. We are left with a smaller candidate list. Now, those are the first steps, but let me go back to the higher level, other option, the first workflow one more time. After we find the sector and industries in QEdge, at the stock level, as I explained, using the cyan or orange color button, you could go to either QEdge stock scorecard using the cyan button or QVital, which is an external application in relation to QEdge, using the orange button. And then use Vital scorecard when you want to focus on only your personal stock universe. QVital, the universe is what you choose to be. So if you use the orange button, you will use the stock universe that is of interest to you, not only QEdge stock universe, which is S&P 1500 stocks. Now coming back to bottom up, what to do after finding the stocks that have possible trade setup. After finding stocks with potential trade setups, it is probably most efficient. That is what I have found. You may check different approaches out. After finding technical setups, especially when we are left with many stocks, maybe 30 stocks or sometimes maybe 100 stocks, especially in the USA market, that market is broader. If we have many stocks, it is probably most efficient to not open the charts. We already know these stocks have potential trade setups, but don't open the charts. Instead, generate the stock scorecard using QVital first and quickly eliminate the ones that do not meet your fundamental criteria. Here I look for at least value or growth. Those are the criteria I use. So I eliminate the stocks that don't have trade setup, then I very fast eliminate the stocks that I don't want to trade anyway in terms of fundamentals. And after the stocks are selected, then it is most efficient, again, not open the charts. Again, if the stocks are only few, you could open the charts. If the stocks are still 10, 15, don't open the charts, but quickly go to the industry scorecard of the stocks. Takes only one click. Find the stocks in the strongest industries for long trades, for short trades, of course, weakest industries. So that way we eliminate the trades that we should not trade very quickly. That is the most efficient way I have found if we use the bottom-up approach. Now the third approach is fundamental first. This is very useful if we are trading or finding trades near the market open, soon after the market open. Because QVital is always working in real time, we may generate a stock scorecard of our stocks of interest. Let's say all liquid stocks in the USA or all stocks with liquid options in the USA. We generate the stock scorecard very fast using real-time definitive data and then choose the stocks that are fundamentally aligned to our trades. After choosing the stocks from stock scorecard, once again quickly go to industry first, align the industry, then come back to the stocks. We'll be left with very few stocks. I'll explain this in live market in the USA market today. We will generate the stock scorecard, find the strongest or weakest fundamental stocks based on our preferred trading direction, align the industry with those remaining stocks. We'll be left with even fewer stocks. And then finally, we could look up their technical trades using QFinder. Usually, you will find, especially if you are running this approach near the market open, you will not be left with many stocks because market is just starting to move. And if that is the case, only left with few stocks, you may open the charts. Don't have to run QFinder. If you are using TradeStation's Q Elite and the list is manageable, let's say 50, 100 stocks or maybe 300, 400 stocks also can be managed in Q Elite TradeStation. TradeStation has some limitations on that. Then again, you could drop them on Q Elite Finder instead of running Q Globals Finder. But if you are working in the India market, Q Elite is not available, then you may decide to run Finder if the list is bigger, or just open the stocks daily charts first if the list is shorter. The other workflow that I use quite often is indexed first, starting with Q index, and I use it because I have the habit of watching the market indexes or futures. So if I am seeing the Dow Jones is weak, I want to quickly drill down into the constituent stocks and see which of the Dow Jones stocks are shortable for weak Dow Jones index. And I can do the same thing in the Indian market. I keep an eye on Nifty, Bank Nifty, Nifty IT, these indexes. If, for example, Nifty IT is relatively weaker, we can see that from the multi-chart intraday template. Then I quickly drill down to Nifty IT stocks, find the weakest stock. If Nifty IT is weaker, find the weakest fundamental stocks, then see if they have a short setup. And if it is done near the market open, then I may look at weekly daily charts but trade using precision entry chart, intraday chart. So I use index first also quite often because I have the habit of watching the market indexes, and for USA market I watch the futures. Now the other workflow that is possible, but I don't use it as a starting point, that is seasonality first, because seasonality is nice to have in my view. Technicals trump seasonality. So I'm not going to use this as a workflow. Also, if you use seasonality first workflow, you will miss out on many high probability low risk trades. So it does not appeal to me so much. So I don't use it as a workflow. Instead, I find it more efficient. If you notice in this presentation and in the market recaps, I am always trying to use the efficient approach. Especially if you are trading options or futures, efficiency matters. If you are day trading, efficiency matters. If you are doing the analysis after market close, then you could afford to take some more time. Doesn't matter, market is closed anyway. But if you are trading during market hours, and or trading futures or options, this efficiency is of essence. time is of essence. And for seasonality, I find it more efficient to check that using QSeason. QVital has one component of that. I check the seasonality after checking all the other Q360-degree trade aspects. That is, if I am shorting, I make sure that industry is weak, fundamentals are weak, technically I have a short setup, then I may look at Q season. If seasonality is bearish, it's good to have. I'm not going to stop a trade just because seasonality is bullish or neutral. On the other hand, if I'm looking for a bullish trade, that is strong industry, strong fundamentals, low risk buy setup, then last step is to check the seasonality. It's a bullish trade I am looking for. It is nice to have bullish seasonality, but if does not have that, if it has neutral or even bearish seasonality, that's not going to stop me from taking the trade. See, it's one aspect that is nice to have for me, and I find it more efficient not to run seasonality first workflow, which will lead to a lot of trades being missed, but I check seasonality at the end. And finally, I always check the charts. In trading, we make money buying stocks only if the stocks go up. So I always, and guideline is always to use the Q at a glance template to confirm a trade setup. That is for swing trading, and you may enter the trade using precision entry trade template. That's not at a glance, that's a precision entry 5 or 10 minutes charts if you are day trading or precisely entering a swing trade. With those notes, let's now start with the live systems. First is about QFinder. Let's see how we populate QFinder. QFinder is a unique tool that shows visually the technical breadth on the daily time frame as well as the weekly time frame. I'm navigating between daily and weekly technical breadth using these buttons on the left corner. Now I mentioned if you are new to Q systems, you may learn about the buttons using the help button. So I'll not explain all the buttons what they do. I may tell which one I am clicking and you will know what they are doing because I am going to do that. But if you are beginning with Q systems, you may use the help button. By default it is black, doesn't do anything, but if I click once it turns to green. Suppose I am new to QFinder, I installed it and I want to know all the buttons on this page. Then I turn the help button to green. Now if you click on any button, it will show what it does, but it will not do that. It will just show you what it does. So if I click this, it says go to weekly tab. If I click this, it says import QFinder scan output. The scan is on Q Global. The data is imported using this button. If I click this button, it says go to QVital. So I get accustomed to the buttons. Now first 1 day or 2 days, you may change it to when you are actually doing real-time analysis or aftermarket analysis, either way. You may turn it to red. Then it will show the help and carry out the action. So if I click this green button, looks like a bull, it says go to bullish tab. And it will actually take me to the bullish tab. On the bullish tab, if I click the home button here, you see the help is still on with red color, so it's telling go to daily tab and it will actually go back there. So that's a way to know about the buttons on a page using the green color, and then if you wanted to also take the action, you could change it to red color. After 1 or 2 days you will get conversion. Just takes a few days because the buttons are visually aligned with what they do and they are color coded as well. Green bullish, red bearish. Then you turn it black to turn it back to black like I am doing. So now it's black. So first thing is this is very useful. From this technical breadth we can drill down to trade setups. It's the starting point of technical first or bottom-up analysis. But how do I populate the data here? That is based on QGlobal's Finder scan. So on QGlobal on Metastock, if I go to Explorer, I have the Finder scan and the Finder weekly scan. Finder weekly scan is to be run on weekly time frame, and daily scan has to be run on the daily time frame. Do I run Finder weekly every day? Yes. After the market close, I run it every day. I run the Q Finder daily also every day so that I can visualize the weekly and daily technical breadth. A related question is, if I am looking for trades in the morning after market open, do I run Q Finder weekly? The answer is no. The weekly may not change much because market has just opened and it's just another day in the week. May or may not change depending on the market move that day. But I am not interested in running Finder day that time because time is of essence if I am trying to find trades in the morning. I don't want to miss the most appropriate time, the low risk entry points. So I just run Q Finder if I am looking for trades in the morning. Let's say USA market is starting at 9:30, at 9:40 I am running Q Finder. I'm not going to run weekly, I just run daily. Also, if I am looking for trades just before market close, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the USA market, then also time is of essence. I want to complete my 360 degrees analysis, find trades in 10-15 minutes and actually execute the trades if I wanted to, if I find good opportunities. I don't need to run weekly at that time. I save that time. I just run Q Finder. But if I'm running after market close, I have time, I always run both. Now, if you also have the alternate momentum signals, then you run Q2 Finder also, and that is run only on the daily interval. The data from the scan output of Q Finder weekly is imported into the weekly tab of Finder. Let's go back to Finder. It's imported into the weekly tab of Finder using the import from Finder scan. And if I'm running a daily scan, then I'm going to import the data from scan results using this button on the daily tab. This is the weekly and daily tabs. Now I have already run it yesterday after market close and that data is still there. So let me actually execute that. I think because it is already loaded 6th March, as of 6th March end of day it's already loaded. I'm not going to run, I'm going to show the actual operation. Go to report, right click, go to report. After the scan is complete, it will show the report like this. Come to the bottom section where all the data is there. Click on any row or right click. You can click right click or just right click. Right click and copy all. Not copy but copy all. Remember to use right click and copy all. Don't use the save list to clipboard. That button is here, but that is not to be used. Save list to clipboard. Here, this not this button, but right click and copy all. Once copied all, you may close this. Go to Finder. Because I copied the data from daily scan. I copied the data from daily scan. Oh, sorry. I think my Finder window popped up on a different screen. So let me show again. I ran Q Finder. So right click, report. Sorry about that. Let me bring it to the monitor that I am sharing for YouTube. So this is the data from the Finder scan. Right click on the bottom tabular data, copy all. You see I am copying the daily data. go back to Finder Daily tab, click the import from scan, and it's going to update the timestamp here. 6 March will change to today's date, though I didn't run the scan again, so the graph will remain the same. Now later on I'll actually run it on current market, but let's go through all the steps first. So this is one thing that I wanted to explain, how to load the data into QFinder technical breadth and technical trade drill down tool, QFinder tool, and when I run weekly finder, when I don't. What about the other programs? That is QEdge and QVital. Every day when I am starting to trade or analyzing the market, every day, every time, first program I run is QEdge, and it is always running, always on. Here no scan is required, it's always on, everything is in real time. I can drill down for top down analysis. In that case, in top down analysis, this is the starting tool, QEdge. This is the starting page, the home page on QEdge that shows me at a glance what the market is doing. And incidentally, it's live now. You can see today's USA market is bearish, and I can refer to yesterday's market that was also bearish, and I can see it is not overbought yet in terms of bucket analysis, sorry, not oversold yet in terms of bucket analysis, and it is bearish. So bearish, not oversold. Today's sector industry stock breadth is bearish, yesterday was bearish. So if I am looking at this instantly, I know that I am going to look for short trades today, not long trades. Which sector to focus on, which industries to focus on, that is where QEdge comes into play. We can drill down from this market view to the sectors, industries, then stocks, and then look at the technicals. What about QVital? QVital also does not need any scan. It is always running. If I am doing fundamental first workflow, then I go to the universe tab using the universe button. Once again, if you are new to the tools, or even if you are existing user and want to refresh your understanding of the tools, you may use the help button to know what they do. So I am going to go to the universe button if I am doing fundamental first workflow. Then let's say my trading universe that I want to focus on is stocks with liquid options. So I have different universe of stocks: liquid options, liquid stocks, low price stocks, high price stocks, mid price stocks. For India, I have a list for stocks with stock futures, and you could create many more lists. There are many more blank columns. You could create your own list, but this suffice for me, the liquid lists, because everything else, fundamental first or fund accumulation, everything I can do based on Q systems. I don't need to create sub lists. Some people like to create lists of, say, high growth stocks if they are not using Q systems, but I don't need to do that, because from liquid stocks, based on real time data, whether a stock is high growth or not may change over time. I just use the liquid stocks list and focus on high growth stocks using smart action buttons or smart filters. So let's say I'm going to focus on optionable stocks today. So I place my cursor anywhere on the liquid option, this universe I am choosing, and remember this button is always peer analysis, that needs to generate a scorecard first. So what I am doing, I am generating a context by placing my cursor anywhere on the column of my interest, that is my trading universe for now. This is my context. I am generating the context by placing the cursor anywhere. In some cases, we will generate the context by selecting the rows, for example, industries of interest. But in this case, place anywhere in the column generates the context, and then take an action on the context by using the peer analysis button. It is going to generate a stock scorecard. That is the first step of fundamental first workflow. After generating the scorecard, I can look for today is bearish, I can look for weak fundamental stocks, then look for stocks that are in weak industries, finally look for stocks that are having possible short setups. So we looked at the starting points for technical first using Finder, the first point for top down using QEdge, and first point for fundamental first using QVital. Now I have, as I mentioned, I have the habit of looking at the market futures. Why don't I open that workspace? Or we could look at it on Q Global also. Market futures or market ETFs. I use this multi-chart template. In the morning session, I use 5 minutes. In the afternoon session, I use 10 minutes. Currently, it is set to 10 minutes. That's fine. I'm not going to change it now. What I am doing is I am checking, relatively speaking, which ETF is weaker. If you have the future symbols, you could plot the future symbols instead of the ETFs. You could plot the indexes as well. I'm using the ETFs here. Which one is relatively weaker? That answer comes not from, again, not from which one is down the most. If I'm trying to precisely enter a swing trade or taking a day trade in the morning, again, the weakest one, that assessment I don't do based on which one is down the most, but how it is moving relative to the intraday pivot levels. Let's go to Q Elite for one moment. I want to open the workspace that has additional information. USA market is very developed. So when I'm trading in the USA, I have access to Q Elite. I want to see, I always keep an eye on the index breadth. That shows not only how the indexes are moving, but also their internal health. That is advanced decline, up down volume. That is also useful. I'm opening only one chart that shows the major indexes. I have another chart that shows the exchanges, NYSE and NASDAQ. I keep that open as well to look at the internals. If I'm trading in the Indian market, I don't have access to real-time internals like this. The exchanges do not provide that. I just look at the candle charts. Now let's look at the charts here. Here you can see I am looking at the futures now, YM, RTY, NQ, ES. Which one is weakest? And if I'm let me assume that I am looking at it soon after the market open. So market opened here for Dow Jones, here for Russell 2000, here for Nasdaq, and here for S&P 1500, Nasdaq 100, S&P 1500. See what happened after that. If you look back and watch, assume that you are watching the market, I'm watching the market soon after the open. What happened? Nasdaq 100 had bullish color candles, went up, stopped at the early range high. S&P 500 didn't go up, you can see. The candle color was yellow. It didn't turn to bullish color like Nasdaq 100. But it moved sideways. Whereas Dow Jones Industrials after the open started falling, then went up little bit, could not break above the early range high, fell. All of them fell eventually on this day, on this bar. That is because probably almost certain. Fed chair was speaking about interest rate hikes, how he's going to plan. So that led to the drop, but we didn't need to wait for that to assess which one was the weakest. And now see the value and use of index first analysis. So of the three, right at the market open, and in fact, because these are future symbols, I was watching them before the market open also. Dow Jones was the weakest future before the market open, and if you followed my last market recap or if you watch the Dow futures at a glance weekly daily chart, you know it was the weakest. It was moving sideways while others were going up. So in terms of weekly, daily, pre-market and right after market open, YM or Dow Jones Industrial Futures or Index or ETF was the weakest. Of course, we could also look at Russell 2000. You can see after open, it did go up little bit and the color turned bullish. So YM turned bullish in color, NQ certainly turned bullish in color. Sorry, RTY turned bullish in color, NQ turned bullish in color, SPY moved sideways in very narrow range for a while, and what Dow Jones did first, what it did is it fell. And again, I was watching it in pre-market time also. That time also it was the weakest. So if that is the weakest, and I find the weakest one based on the movement across the pivot lines, not based on percentage changes, but percentage changes are available. So I can see as of now, of course at the market open it would be different. As of now, Dow Jones is down 0.82%, Nasdaq 100 0.69, S&P 500 0.94, and RTY 0.63. All are down, and SPY is down the most. But once again, if I look at the market open based on how price was moving across the different pivot lines, I would know that Dow Jones was the weakest. That's how I decide, and I have access to the percentage changes. That's fine also to look at. Of course, I look at that also. Now, if Dow Jones is weakest near the open at the open, then I may want to short, and all are looking weak actually from yesterday's candle. You could look at weekly daily. Let's look at, just for the sake of it, let's look at weekly daily, say QQQ. Yesterday QQQ reversed right from the trendline resistance. See, in this area it went up, came down here, made a higher low. Right from yellow direction line, after displaying bullish indecisions, it went up. We would expect that, and we would also expect something to happen near the trendline resistance. That happened. So based on yesterday's close, we are bearish. Am I having a short trade in QQQ? No, but I am having a bearish view on the market based on yesterday's close of QQQ. If I looked at DIA, that was the weakest near the open today. Remember, when QQQ was going up in this area, DIA was range bound. So DIA was the weakest from that perspective. It went up little bit, had a very indecisive candle yesterday, and today near the market open, before the market open, the futures were falling the most. So you could confidently look for shorting opportunities in Dow Jones Industrial constituents. So if we observe that near the market open, then we could use the Q index first workflow. So I use the Q index program, which is a logical program inside Q Vital Excel. Earlier it used to be a separate Excel. To make for easier operations, to save memory also, I made it a part of Q Vital. So from Q Vital, this button, again click help green, click this button, go to index tab. Okay, switch it off to black, go to index. Now in the index field, I'm on the, remember what I told, the system goes to where it needs to go. When you will notice that when I'm navigating between different programs, cursor is where it needs to go to take my next step. So in the index tab there are few indices from different countries, but whatever is of your choice, you may type it. Any index, any country, any market. So in the morning today, Dow Jones was weakest. So what I would do, and I actually did that in the morning, I typed Dow Jones Industrials.dji. It retrieved the stocks and very quickly it showed me the advanced decline breadth today in real time and also the history 1 month to today. Now market was looking weak based on yesterday's closing and today Dow Jones is weakest. So I quickly generated the constituents. I don't need to create a list, save a list on my computer. Nowhere. Q systems in QC, I never save any list. Everything is dynamically generated except my personalized stock universe. So for example, liquid stocks. Some people will just trade value stocks. They could use that liquid universe. So other than the personalized stock universe, nothing is saved. So I am generating the constituent stocks of DJI in real time. So if they change, I don't have to worry anything. I could find the constituents for Russell 2000 by typing Russell index. I could do the same for SPY using SPX. For NASDAQ, I could use NDX. And if I wanted to generate a list for the entire composites, NYSE or NASDAQ, I could do that. I use IXIC for NASDAQ, that's the definitive symbol, or you could use, I think, NYA, I think that's the symbol for NASDAQ. In fact, you could use any industry index as well. Refinitiv has hundreds, in fact probably thousands of indexes focused on industries and sectors. If you wanted, you could use those. But for industry sector, I don't use the indexes. I use the QH because in QH, the sector industry rotation is much more reliable than using industry focused ETFs or industry focused indexes. No, that's a very definitive statement. I didn't hide between any ambiguity there, and let me explain why. The industry focused ETFs like home builders ETF or industry focused indexes, Refinitiv has an index for everything, they are generated using some larger cap or very important stocks. If that is the only trading universe for you, then using those indexes are okay. But for all the traders I know of, whether they use Q systems or not, all the traders I know of, people tend to trade lot more stocks than just the indexes of those home builders index, for example. And that is why if you use those ETFs as your guide to which industry is stronger, that determination will be somewhat inappropriate in my view. We have to use a reasonable universe that has mid cap, small cap, large cap, all kinds of stocks to understand the true nature of the industry, not just focused on one ETF that is focusing on probably only few large cap stocks. That's misleading. That will not give you proper industry alignment. Whereas QH, if you use industry sector strength from there to align to it, that will give proper alignment. So coming back again, why I went into that discussion is that we have the ability to analyze constituents of any index, including the industry focused index, but I don't use it for industry analysis. I'm using it only for the top level future constituents, index constituents. So DJI, this is what I found to be the weakest in the morning. What I would have done, I would have clicked the peer analysis. See here, the context is implicit. Whatever I type, the constituents were retrieved. That is the implicit context. I don't have to choose any context. I just have to operate on the context by clicking the peer analysis that will generate the scorecard. So that is the starting point of index first workflow. And after generating the scorecard, on a bearish day like today, I may look for weak stocks. In terms of fundamentals, look for weak stocks. In terms of industry, look for weak stocks. In terms of technicals. So I'm explaining the starting point now. I covered technical first starting point, top down starting point, fundamental first, and index first. Seasonality first I am not going to show because as I mentioned, it's inefficient to use seasonality first workflow. It eliminates many high probability low risk trades. Now if I want to check the seasonality of a stock after I have found a candidate trade, it's a good thing to have. So what I may do, I may just go to the Q season. Again, that used to be a separate program altogether. There is a separate Q season Excel also to analyze hundreds or thousands of stock season at a time. That Q season Excel is the starting point for Q season. Sorry, that Q season Excel is the starting point for seasonality first workflow. But as I mentioned, I don't use it as an workflow. I can check seasonality after I get a stock from season. So how do I do that? From home tab, I can go to the season tab. Again, click on the help, click here, calculate seasonality. Okay, switch it off, switch the help off, go to seasonality. Let's calculate seasonality for Tesla. I suggested a bearish trade on Tesla yesterday during market hours. I took the trade. I don't know how it is now, but soon after the market open, I had sizable profit in the trade. But this session is not for looking at trades. This is to explain how to implement the workflows. And see, the moment you type the ticker symbol for USA market or Refinitiv symbol for India as well as USA or any other country, you can use Refinitiv symbol for any country, or you could use the ticker symbol also for USA market. It shows the seasonality. And I can see March seasonality is neutral. As I mentioned, even if it was bullish, I would not stop taking the bearish trade on Tesla that I shared yesterday. So this is how I use seasonality as a step in my workflow, not as a starting point or not as a seasonality first workflow. So I explained the starting points. Now let's do an actual analysis. And again, let's go back to the indexes. I can see it is falling, but now it may be too late. What I am doing is, based on index constituent analysis, I am trying to catch right when the stock or futures, right when it is dropping below early range low. That would have given me a early range breakout short setup. But in index constituent analysis, I am not going to trade the futures or index. That is an average of many stocks. So let me assume I am near the market open. I saw index Dow Jones was very weak, so I'm going to type DJI, generate the list of constituents in real time. Nothing is stored on my computer. Click the peer analysis button. I'm describing the buttons also. That will take the constituents, generate a scorecard. This is actually what I did near the open today. I didn't take any trade. I was preparing for the session, but I analyzed it. It would have generated the scorecard. I know that from updated status being filled with timestamp. It's actually real time current timestamp. Now I'm going to use this button to travel to the scorecard, generated scorecard. The market was weak, so I'm going to look for weak fundamental stocks. One easy way to do that is to use these buttons. Let's use 1 star. You could be more restrictive using 3 star or diamond, but it is a small list of Dow Jones 30 stocks. Let's use 1 star. And few stocks come as 1 star candidate for shorting. That is either overvalued or having negative earnings growth. And when I did this in the morning, the second stock GS, Goldman Sachs, right in the morning, maybe 9:35, Goldman Sachs came actually to the top. Then I could look up its industry. See, now I am following the workflow into different applications. First, I used QIndex to generate constituents, used QVital to generate the scorecard. Near the market open, GS was actually the weakest. So I could click this button. How? See the context. Once I select a row, that is the context. I could place my cursor anywhere on the row that generates the context, and I'm using the gear button, that is the industry scorecard retriever. Go to QEdge, look up Q industry, and it is orange color because QEdge is a different application from QVital. That's how all these are playing out. So I have the context of the current stock. I click look up edge industry, and it will show me the industry scorecard. It is not the weakest industry today, not among the bottom 20 weakest industries, though it is down. It has some deceleration, and if I want to see the graph, I could click this button to see the industry rotation graph. Let's click that, and that is showing that it is flat. Yes, somewhat going up, going up, but going down, but more or less flat. Today is weekday, so this industry is down. So what did I do so far? And I'll come to my conclusion based on this energy, but let's see, what did I do? I looked at the futures, found out the weakest one near the market open. I looked at the constituent stocks for that index. I found the weakest stocks near market open, that was Goldman Sachs, and then I looked up its industry. As of now, at least, the industry is not among bottom 20%. So what is my conclusion for my trading? Your decision or conclusion may be different. My conclusion is it is okay for me to short Goldman Sachs today for day trading, but I am not going to hold the day trade overnight unless the industry weakens further. But for day trading, it is fine because it was the weakest index and the weakest stock in that index in the morning. And if I did that analysis in the morning, which I did actually, then last step will be to go to the stock. So I could open the stock, and before going to, I decided it could be a day trade. But before looking at the intraday chart, I always want to look at weekly, daily to make sure there is a support nearby or not. No, there is none. In the daily, the support is far away, the lower boundary is far away. And remember, I am doing this analysis here near the open, near the top of the candle. I am seeing weekly falling below trend line support. Daily support is far away. Yesterday's candle was indecisive after a recovery, but it was coming down, made a recovery right into the direction lines. Very importantly, the yellow, but also the other three. So 4 direction lines were there, and it started to fall from 4 out of 5 direction lines. That was looking weak. So weekly really tells me that okay, index is weak. This is the weakest stock in the index. Fundamentals allow me to short. Industry not so weak, so I may start as a day trade. Weekly daily allows me to short. Then I would have gone to the intraday chart. Let's change the template, and all this I could do in Q Global or Metastock also. In the morning session it would be 5-minute chart. Right after open, price came down. Now remember, I kept an eye on futures. It is always running on my monitor, another monitor, all the futures. What did I see? Right after open, QQQ turned green in 5-minute charts. RTY also turned green in 5-minute charts. SPY moving sideways, and Dow Jones actually fell first, little bit recovered, and then fell again. Dow Jones recovered to the early range high. Remember, all these are in the background. Actually, for me, it's in another monitor, but now I'm sharing screen. See, Dow Jones actually went to early range high. See how I'm aligning forces with my trades. Dow Jones was relatively weak, but even the weak one tried to go to early range high, and the weakest stock in the Dow Jones right near the open, it did not go anywhere close to the early range high. Fell, made a feeble recovery and fell sharply. So you could short it at this point using early range breakout technique, putting stop above early range high, or you could short again here. And if you did that, again, remember my industry analysis told don't take it as a swing trade unless it closes, unless the industry weakens near the close. By the time price came here, we covered probably the same distance as the risk distance. So I could close partial profit, hold on to the remaining position if I was using stocks, Goldman Sachs stocks to short, or I could close the entire profit, entire position, use the profit, only use the profit to open an options position, thereby in very short time making a guaranteed risk-free trade. So that is a live demonstration of index first workflow. That's what I use quite often, both for India market and USA market, if I am looking for constituent stocks. Now, I am not always looking for constituent stocks, isn't it? Suppose I am only going to trade options or futures and options in India market, in USA market, stock options, then I don't want to do this constituent analysis, index analysis. I don't want to follow index first workflow because many of the constituents may not have liquid options. So if I am trading only FNO, for example, FNO is futures and options or just options, then it makes sense to use fundamental first workflow. In broader terms, it makes sense to use fundamental first workflow when your trading universe is neither S&P, none of the indexes, nothing, is a very personalized universe. So we have those universes saved in the universe tab, whether it is liquid options, liquid stocks. I sometimes focus only on mid-price stocks if I'm trading stocks, not high price, not low price. Low priced ones tends to be very speculative. High priced are expensive, whereas mid price stocks tend to move a lot, the right amount of time. Move a lot, but not so speculative as low price stock. So this is my favorite universe to start with for trading stocks. And if I'm trading options, I want to only focus on stocks with liquid options. This is my favorite universe. And if my favorite universe is known, then I don't want to do index first workflow. So let's say I am going to trade only options today. So my context is decided by where I place my cursor. I placed my cursor on liquid option column. Now I am clicking the button here. Now I am taking action on the context. What action I am taking? This button. If you go through the master classes, or you know probably already, generating the scorecard, retrieving the stocks data generation scorecard, and cyan means it will keep me inside the application. So I'm generating the scorecard. I would have done this near the open. Now it's already about 2 hours into market open, but no harm demonstrating the steps. Let it generate the scorecard, give it a few seconds. I'm also running streaming software, that's why the internet bandwidth is taken, and my internet in the village is not as good as those of you who are living in the cities. So now my scorecard is generated. I know from the updated timestamp. And this is what I am doing near the open. You could do it near the market close also. It's very efficient method to find trades either near the market open or near the market close. Because near the market open today, it was weak. So I'm going to immediately click red 1 star here, this button. So that shortened my list from 336 to only 172. And Now I am looking at real-time column. After market hours, I'll only look at 1 day column because real-time column will be blank after market close. But now market is open. It's good I'm doing this during market hours. I looked at weakest fundamental or weak rather I would say weak fundamental stocks in my trading universe, and I see many stocks are down by sizable percentage. I don't want to then look at all the stocks that are down. I'll click this button to look at stocks that are down by at least 1%, and I have now 99 stocks. Now see where cursor is where it needs to be. So I have now 99 stocks. All are down, of course. All are down by at least 1% because I use this button, down move by at least 1%. You may not have the exact same button, but you get the concept. You could also select stocks and generate the context. So if you want to focus only on stocks, and remember near market open they will not be down by so large percentage. Near market close they will be down by bigger percentages if the bearish market continues. Near market open you will not have so many stocks down by so large percentages. You could select the stocks to generate the context. Why I am doing that? I mentioned it's an efficient method. So these stocks are my context if I select them. And I mentioned something about implicit context. See this stock symbols header column. When I click this button or click any action button, actually filter button, action button, cursor automatically goes somewhere. Let me demonstrate. I put my cursor here, okay, but when I click this smart filter button, cursor automatically goes to where it needs to go to for a trader. So it goes to the this particular cell, and this is where the implicit context comes in. I have already selected stocks that are down with bearish fundamentals that allows me to short. I will not need to highlight. If I wanted to have specific percentage down moves, I could highlight them, but if I don't highlight anything, then if my cursor is on the symbol column, that is where the computer goes automatically. That that's the implicit context. It's telling me choose all the 99 stocks. Whether it uses the implicit context, that is 99 stocks by having cursor on the symbol columns header, or you chose the symbols by highlighting, context is ready. Now I'm going to use the lookup industry score. So I selected the context, or I have the implicit context, and the orange button will take me to Q edge. See the efficiency. I very quickly found the weak fundamental stocks, and I don't want to open the 90 stocks. I am clicking on the real-time column. But by the way, let me go back again. When I click the lookup industry score from Q Vital scorecard, it showed me only the industries of those stocks. And what I see out of the industries of those stocks in real time, 3 are only up, 50 are down. But I'm not even interested in the down ones only. I'm going to double click on the real time column during market hours, real time, after market close, 1 day, real time will be blank. I will sort it. One way to sort is to double click. Double click on the column header. If you double click again, it will reverse the sort order. I'm looking for bearish trade, so let me double click to get the weakest one to the top, and I am interested generally only on the bottom 20% weakest industries, and those will have a checkered background. So I selected them. What do I mean? Why did I select them? To generate the context. So I created the context, that is the industry. Then I take an action, and I'm going to click the orange pair analysis, because orange color will take me to Q Vital. Cyan color will keep me in Q Edge. But in Q Vital, I already have the scorecard of all optionable stocks, liquid option stocks, and I have already shortlisted further by choosing weak fundamental stocks, I have even narrowed down the list further by choosing stocks that were down by at least 1%. So I don't want to go to Q edges list because the whole point was about looking at my own universe. So I've created now a context of the weakest industries. Now I want to look at the selected stocks for only those industries and see what happens. Now I'm left with only 29 stocks. What did I do? I looked at my universe of stocks. On a bearish day, I'm looking for weak fundamental stocks. If many stocks are down right in the morning, or you could do it in the near the close also, or after the market close, I'm looking for stocks that are down by bigger percentages, looked at their industry scorecard and chose the weakest industries, came back to my fundamental scorecard. Now I am left with only 29. Now if I am using, remember cursor is where it needs to be. If I'm using Q Elite on TradeStation, 29 is very much manageable in Q Finder that is implemented on Radar on TradeStation. 29 is very manageable. So if I'm using Q Elite, I will click the button. Again, I could select the stocks of my interest, but if cursor is on the column header, the context is implicit, all the rows that are displayed. So click the button, it works on the context, highlights the context also for visual cue, but it has copied the tickers. For me to go to TradeStation now, drop them in Finder. There are different finders. Let's use, okay, let's use this finder. There are different finders on TradeStation. Let's use this one, which will immediately float the stocks with maximum number of trade setups. You know, these are all weak industries, weak fundamentals, significantly down. But I want stocks with trade setups, and some may have more than one setups. I want them to float to the top, and it did that. So Barrick Gold came to the top, GOLD, then Wheaton Precious Metals. And looking at the industry, I see gold, silver is weak with trade setups, auto is weak. Great, isn't it? Because Tesla is a stock I shorted yesterday. I published it before knowing the results as usual. So I'm happy when I see auto and truck down. Again, gold, silver, and I see some biotechs, auto again, mining, some banks. Remember Goldman Sachs, I was not very happy to hold as swing short, and financials are not coming here actually. So that was a good decision. And tobacco. So either it seems like gold miner or auto and truck. So let's look at, these are all liquid option stocks. Let's look at gold. So click here and then it will take me to at a glance template. What are the setups? Breakout or flow? Both are possible. We'll have to confirm that with the chart. So let's confirm that with the chart. Yes, it's a clear breakdown and it has a bearish flow, though it is below the lower boundary. Weekly is looking weak. So it is very much possible to short it as a breakdown candidate. Now, before actually shorting it, okay, let me rephrase my statement. If I am trading stocks, then my universe is bigger, right? So if I am trading stocks at this point, instead of deciding to short gold, I will go back to Vital and carry out a peer analysis to see if another stock that is peer in gold mining industry is weaker with a better looking chart for shorting. That is also has to be fundamentally weak. Also industry is same for peer analysis of a root stock. So if I am trading stocks again, I will do a peer analysis before actually taking a trade, because then the universe is more big. But if I am trading only options, like in this workflow, I started with optionable stocks, then I will not want to do peer analysis because many of the peer stocks will not be optionable or not enough liquid options. This list I started with are are the stocks with liquid options. I don't want to do P analysis. I already know industry is weak. I already know this fundamental is weak. But other than GOLD, I saw few other gold mining stocks. I will certainly look at them. So WPM is one, NEM is one. Let's look at these two. I'm not trying to find trades, but explaining the exact things I do. WPM. See, because it also has a possible breakdown and a possible flow short setup, the weekly is looking weaker, daily is looking weaker. I would not stop only at one stock. I would like to see all the stocks in the same industry that are coming from Finder, and if you did that, you would short WPM, not the other stock, and you would do that right near the market open using the precision entry chart. You would have shorted at this point. Stop would be for the day above early range high. By now much more than risk distance is covered, so you could apply trailing stop, or you could even book partial profit. As I mentioned, you could book the profit in the stock and use options. These are liquid options. You could short the call vertical at this point, you could buy the put vertical at this point. All the options, trading options are possible. So that is how I use fundamental first, where my trading universe is not constituent of stocks, or it will not necessarily come from top-down analysis. Top-down is also very useful. Now let's demonstrate top-down. So far I have demonstrated index first and fundamental first. Let's do top-down. Very powerful method. Very powerful method. So for top-down, let me say that my universe of interest is not the liquid options. You could do liquid options also, but let me show the liquid stocks. So my context is liquid stocks, but even better for me at least, mid-price liquid stocks. Not speculative, not high priced, but tend to move significantly. So first thing I am doing, if I am interested only in my stock universe, and generally I am only interested in my stock universe, which can be mid-price stocks, liquid option stocks, India stock futures, but not just S&P 1500, which could be somebody's personal universe, but for me mid-price is more appropriate for myself. So I'm generating a scorecard. I want to do top-down analysis, but I want to drill down to my own stock universe. So I'm generating a scorecard for the stock first. And remember, QVital is in real time, so it will keep the scorecard up to date for all the times. Let us give it a few seconds to generate the scorecard. The more you use the Q systems, you will not only find them useful, valuable, profitable, but you will find them fun. And I think you will like the way it was designed. Designed by a trader who is profitable, as you may know by now, and for traders. Usability, efficiency, these were of high importance to me when I designed the systems. Not only the rigor, not only the reliability, but also usability and efficiency. So I have generated the scorecard. This is my universe of interest, liquid mid-price stocks for stock trading, let's say. Now I'm going to do top-down analysis. Let's say I'm looking at it near the market open, or near the market close, or after the market close. The workflow is the same. This is top-down workflow. I am looking at today's picture. Today is bearish, yesterday was bearish, not oversold yet, bucket analysis showing bearish. If I didn't look at it every day, I could look at it, the sector industry stock breadth over 1 month to real time. That is also showing that I can short. So now I'm going to drill down to the sectors, but before that I see only one sector is up here, 10 are down. The one that is up is consumer discretionary, but I'm not going to take long trades today based on overall market breadth here. Now I could go to the sectors to see which ones are weakest. I go to the sector scorecard, but as I mentioned, for finding trades I would not like to start from sector level scorecard. That will eliminate some nice trades. So for example, why I say that, I explained it before, let me explain again. Materials. We already saw when we did the fundamental first workflow that gold mining stocks are weak. Gold mining stocks are part of materials, but it can happen all the other materials industries are up, only gold is down. Then I will miss those opportunities. So in other words, the sector level will eliminate some lucrative trading opportunities or potentially lucrative. So that's why I look at the sectors, and I may even go to the sector scorecard. I click this button here to go to the sector scorecard. Cursor is where it needs to go, and I can double click again on the real time column header to see the strongest and weakest today. I can look at the real time column here to see which ones are up and down. These are scorecards, relative scores, and these are actual percentages. So we already know from the header also only one sector up, 10 are down today. If I am doing strictly top down, I would select the bottom 20% real estate financial. See again, I will miss out on the gold mining shorting opportunities. That is why I look at it, but when I am looking for trades, instead of using this button to look at sector scorecard to find weakest sectors, I directly go to the industry scorecard. This is more important if you are doing it near market open or near market close, where time is of more essence. If you are doing after market close, it's okay to look at sectors, then slowly go to industries. But if I am doing in real time, trying to find trades in real time, spending minimum time, which is more important for trading futures and options, then I want to eliminate as many steps as possible without losing any value. So I eliminated looking at sectors. I went to the industries. Weekday, so I'm sorting by real-time industry score, gave me the strongest one to the top. So I double click again. I look at the weakest industries. Now, some of these systems have hotkeys. So Control Shift A is for sorting by ascending order. Where is the context it will look at? So I am currently on real time column. So Control Shift by ascending, and Control Shift D if I press. I'm pressing Control Shift D now. See, descending order. So you could double click and then double click again to reverse the order, or because I am looking for bearish trades, I could just press Control Shift A, ascending order. That will give me the weakest industries at the top. Again, I am selecting the context, highlighting the industries with checkered background. Those are the weakest 20%. And now I want to drill down to stocks. Remember, we have peer analysis button for stock scorecard generation for stocks in the same application. But I don't want that. I want to go to my personal trading universe, and that scorecard is already available in Q Vital. I'll click this button. It takes me to another application for Q types, that will be Q Vital using this button. So I have selected the context of weakest industries after seeing the market is weak from Q Edge Home tab, but not oversold yet from the bucket analysis. I selected the 20% weakest industries. Now going to my own trading universe and see from my very large universe, very large universe of 1200 plus stocks, focusing on only the weakest industries, how quickly I could shorten the list in real time. Only 248, and 95% of them are down. But I don't want to short strong fundamental stocks. So just like in fundamental first workflow, I am going to click this one red star. You could use 3 star or diamond. Those things are described in more detail in master classes. Let me use 1 star. I'm going to shortlist further to only 111 stocks. And again, if you are running it in the morning or near market close, you see many stocks are down by large percentages. You have many opportunities. You may further shortlist by percentage move by using the smart filter or highlighting the stocks that are down the most. Again, in the morning session, they will not be down by so large percentages. In the afternoon near the close, it will be down by bigger percentages. So you may choose stocks that are down, or what I tend to do. Let's say I have 111 stocks now. What are these stocks? On a weekday in the weakest industries, these are weak fundamental stocks. I used 1 star, but I have many stocks left. So I will now, seeing I have 111 stocks, I click diamond, red color, this button. That will give me weaker fundamental stocks. In terms of industry, I'm at the weakest industries. Diamond didn't have anything. Let me then relax the constraint little bit, look for 3 star. These are both overvalued and negative earnings growth. They are down by large percentage enough, and now I am left with 9 stocks. So if it is only 9 stocks, see, cursor is where it needs to be. I could click the export for QElite, this grid button, that is the table button. I could click that, context is where it is, or I could select the stocks, implicit or explicit context. Then again I could go to TradeStation's QElite. This is one finder in QElite where it floats the trades with maximum setups to the top, or I could use another one. There are different versions available for different purposes, and then I could look for stocks, whether they are stock trades, sorry, white color, I need white color, breakout trades, flow trades, etc. If I am not having QElite, then from here again either highlighted or the context is clear from implicit positioning of the cursor. 9 I can open on Q Global at a time on my computer. No problem with that. But instead of doing that, see, I have this scorecard in front of my eyes, right? So what I do, instead of opening 9 at a time on Q Global, now I'm going to choose my context, and fund being not bullish, not accumulating, is something of value to me. So I can highlight only those. I'm going to eliminate these 2 stocks. I can see here, see how I'm using the scorecard. Earnings is nearby 15th March for this stock. So I'm going to eliminate that. So I'm left with a number of stocks. I'm going to click the chart button. Context was selected. I selected the smart action button that was in orange color, the chart button, and I'm opening the charts in Q Global. The chart button opens the charts in Q Global. Now I'm looking for short trade. So see, very first I'm going to look at the daily charts. I'm applying the trade setups in mind. No trade setup for short, no trade setup for short, no trade setup for short because trend line is nearby. Trend line is nearby for this one also, close. This one is moving sideways. I'm not going to trade. This one, no trade setup for short. Okay, so I didn't find any trade setup from that list. I come back to QVital. See, the context that I selected is highlighted. I'm pressing the delete button on keyboard. Delete button on keyboard. Those rows are gone. Even these I don't need. Okay, no, yes, I need. So these 3 stocks are still there, right? They are not bearish in terms of fund, except this one LSE, but I eliminated it because earnings is nearby 15 March. But I have 3 stocks left that I didn't choose in the previous iteration. So I could select the remaining 3 like this, or I can simply drag and select all of them, or I could put my cursor on the header column, that's the implicit context. Let me select them like this and see how I looked at the weakest ones first. Weakest industry, weak fundamental, fund not accumulating at all. I didn't find trade setup, then I am looking for the remaining 3 stocks. Select them, click the chart icon, open the charts. I'm looking for short trades. As a trend line support nearby, see how fast I can close. No trade setup here also. This one looking good, WPM. See, WPM is interesting, isn't it? The same stock I arrived at from fundamental first workflow, starting with my list of optionable stocks as my universe. Fundamental first workflow gave me WPM, and now top down is also giving me WPM. The more you use the Q systems, you will see you will end up with the same stock, because we are always looking for alignment of the maximum number of forces. So we are aligning industry, fundamental, technical, everything, whatever be the starting point of our workflow. So we came to WPM, and by this time I already know industry is weak on a weekday, fundamentals are weak. We have a technical setup, we would take a short trade near the market open if we wanted to, as it broke below the daily trend line support, or we could keep an eye on it for taking the short trade near the market close as a swing trade. Near the market open, it could be both day trade or swing trade. So far I demonstrated different workflows. Index first, where we could identify Goldman Sachs. Fundamental first, using optionable stocks, liquid optionable, we found WPM as a shorting candidate on a weekday. And top-down analysis on my own personal trading universe, we also found the same stock, WPM. Goldman Sachs was not a swing trade, as I mentioned, because the industry was not swing. Could be a day trade. It already made enough profit for the day trade. Now one more workflow is remaining, that is technical first. And now I am going to use QFinder on real-time data. So I'm going to run QFinder. The settings you may check from this scan, this tab. I'm going to run it. Let's say I'm doing technical first on optionable stocks, liquid optionable stocks. So this is the stock list. So I have chosen QFinder. Remember what I told you? If I'm trying to find trades during market hours, time is of further essence. I'm not going to run weekly. I'm just going to run QFinder on daily interval to look for proper trade setups. This is my universe of interest. You could have your own personal universe. This is online, real time, full 100% real time data. Start the exploration. And if the result is large number of stocks, large being a relative term, but you will understand when I show it, large enough, I will get the stocks in vital first. If it is short enough, 3-4 stocks, I look at the charts immediately. Let's see how big the list is, and also see the time it takes. Doesn't really take any time. I am not trading based on tick charts. My minimum bar interval is 5 minutes. So even if it takes 1 minute, 2 minutes, I'm not losing anything. Some people think that running QFinder scan is going to miss some opportunities. Not true at all. And this is after me being in a remote village in Thailand, after me running many streaming softwares in parallel. It took only 54 seconds for me. It would have taken much shorter for you if you are in a city with a better bandwidth, if you are not running YouTube in live. Now I'm going to, as I mentioned, import the data. Go to the bottom tab, right click, copy all. Once copied, I can close it. I want to keep my cursor on the chart application now. Explore is done. I want to keep on the chart application cursor here, so that if I want to open the chart, it will open. I will not have to come back here. But the data is copied. My purpose is to go to QFinder tool, and remember this button, import from scan, click that button. You will see the timestamp will change, showing that now I have the latest data. Give it a few seconds. Changed right now. We imported the data and it is looking bearish. Of course, we know that already from all the analysis we did all the things we are watching. Everything is bearish. Flow setups are giving more than 20%, many breakouts also. So I could try to combine flow with breakouts. Remember the standard approach? There are many gap downs also. This is again, if I am doing technical first workflow in the morning session, this technical breadth will immediately tell me, along with Q edge, which is always running on my computer. Q edge and Q technical breadth on Finder would tell me unambiguously only to look for short trades. And now I can go to the bearish trade setup. I have no point going to the bullish trade setup. So I'm going to the bearish trade setups. I saw many flow setups. So now I want to create the context of only flow setups. Keep cursor anywhere on that column. Click the flag button. So I am only interested in the flow setups. How many? It will eliminate the stocks that don't have a flow setup. Didn't I click the button properly? Yes. So 70. 70 is also large. I saw there are some breakouts and I can see the number here. Remember, the statistics is available on all the dives tools, changes in real time. So of these 70 flow setups, I have 10 breakdowns. So I don't want to look at 70 first. I want to look at only the breakouts with bearish flow, 10, right? I am able to open 10 on charts. My computer power, computer bandwidth will allow that. Or I could generate a scorecard for the fundamentals. Remember, I'm doing technical first, so I don't know the fundamentals yet, but I'm not going to short if the stocks are not weak in terms of fundamentals. So I could generate the fundamentals, or if the list is small enough, like in this case, I could open the charts. And if I open the charts, let's do that. Why not try to open, be brave enough and open it. I click the chart button to take the stocks to Q Global. And remember, I also have the elite button. So I could click this elite button and take the stocks to TradeStation. They already have trade setup, so I don't want to put them in the Finder in TradeStation. I will go to a simple radar list, drop the stocks there. They already have trade setups. What trade setups? I already know. They have breakdown short setups with possible flow short setup. So I'm not going to use the Finder in Elite again. I only want to look at the charts. So let's click through the charts. NTNX, that's a very weak looking stock. If we did the analysis near the market open, we could short it near this point, or maybe even this point, using a recovery and then going down with a bear release. We could do that. You know those techniques. I'm not focusing on the techniques now here, focusing on the workflow. So NTNX, so far what I have done, technical setup confirmed. Now I could go back to Vital and look at its industry. Look at its fundamentals, and then finally look at the industry using edge. Now interestingly, let's look at the next stock, AFRM AFAM. This is too much down and moving in an arrow range in daily. I am not going to short it. See the next stock, WPM. Isn't it interesting? The same stock, we come back again and again, whatever workflow we use. So if we had selected NTNX WPM based on this technical first, and I could also use Q Global instead of Q Elite, I would have gone through the charts, and ARCC also looks good, so I would keep it, move on to the next stock. Okay, let me just eliminate the stocks of not. AIG is also a good shot, I'll keep it. CL, Colgate Palmolive, is a good shot. Technically, GOLD not so good, WPM was better. BCS is also a good shot. Technically, WPM we already found it. AFRM I will not do. NTNX is a short. See how either using Q Global or Q Elite and Q Finder, I could very quickly drill down to the weakest technical stocks. So let's say I found WPM. Let me close all the charts. WPM and NTNX. Next step is to check their fundamentals. Remember, now I'm doing technical first, so I didn't know the fundamentals yet, and I have the codes already for the stocks. So I'm simply going to type their ticker symbol to get the fundamental scorecard. I am quite confident the more you use the systems in these ways, you will be amazed at how the system cursor goes to where it needs to go to for a trader. So scorecard is generated instantly for NTNX. See, I don't have to wait. I see earnings growth is very high, valuation is not overvalued. I'm not going to short it. So I don't waste my time looking at the industry. I have the next stock already from technical first or bottom up analysis, WPM. I'll go to that symbol now, and that one is overvalued, negative earnings growth. So this is a stock I want to short. So far what I have done in bottom up analysis from Finder, I have found the stocks with bearish setups. I further focused on stocks with flow bearish setups as well as breakdowns. I found WPM, NTNX as candidates, NTNX fundamentals I checked was not so weak. I looked at WPM next stock, fundamentals weak. I can see all the peer stocks are down, but I still would like to see the relative score of the industry. So I am clicking this button, look up industry. Context is already understood to be the root stock. It comes to Q Edge, industry scorecard. It is one of the bottom 20%. That's what I would like to short. And finally, if I want to, it's a good to have, it's not required. It's a good to have. I could go back to the stock, click the seasonality button here to look at the seasonality. Again, it's nice to have. I don't stop taking a trade because of seasonality, and I can see WPM seasonality is neutral, neither bullish nor bearish. So I have found a short setup, WPM. And interesting, isn't it? Whether I use technical first or fundamental first or top down using edge first, industry first, or market first. Market is always in the background. Market is bearish, that's why we look for only bearish trade. Whether I do top down, bottom up, fundamental first, I end up with the same stock. And if I'm doing index analysis, again, that is a different approach. There I am not operating on my preferred universe, just index constituents. There you could look for weak stocks right near the market open after looking at the futures. Give me a second. Let me see if I have covered everything I wanted to cover. If you have any questions, you may type them in the chat panel on YouTube Live. Okay, I think I have covered. Let's go back to the things. What I covered, what I wanted to cover. Top down starting with Q edge. We have done that. Bottom up or technical first starting with Q finder. Fundamental first starting with Q vital. Index first going with Q index. Starting with Q. Seasonal first, as I mentioned, I don't use, not efficient. And after the starting point, you could go to different ways. From Q edge, you could go to vital, you could go to finder also. Starting with Q finder, you could go to vital or you could go to charts. Starting with Q vital, you could go to industry or you could go to charts. Starting with Q index and generating the scorecard, you could go to industry or you could go to charts. So there are different ways. The one way I showed you is one that I probably use most often. And if you again ask me which ones do I often or regularly use. Index fast I use because I have the habit of watching the futures. I do trade futures and options on them, not options on them in India market and futures in USA market I trade. So this is very useful. I keep an eye on them, and therefore I sometimes drill down into the constituents and short the weakest by the strongest. Fundamental first I use quite often, especially near the market often open, because it helps me to narrow down the list very fast and look at the charts quickly. And if I'm using QLED, I can plot them on QFinder using radar to find trades easily after looking at weak fundamental stocks. Bottom up I use more often than not after the market close. Strictly bottom up I use, again strictly starting with Finder I use more often than not after the market close, because near the market open fundamental first is faster. The Why faster? Because if I'm starting with technical first, my list is quite large to start with. If I'm starting with fundamental first, 1-2 clicks and my list is narrowed down a lot. Then I can look at industry to narrow it further and then only look at technique. That becomes very efficient. But if I'm doing after market close, then I have time. Then I would like to have a view at the technical breadth. Certainly, I would like to have a look at the technical breadth. After market close, I use technical first. Near the market open or even near the market close in real time, I use fundamental first more often. Near the market close, I am also okay to use top down. In fact, near market open also you can use top down. So these are the different scenarios, different times that I use different workflows. They are all designed to be efficient. You may find your own sweet spot after you go through this video, long video, but you will find it useful. You may find your own workflow that will use every day, or workflows that you will use every day. Let me see if there is any question. No question. Great. I will say one thing again, as I say in every market recap. If you use this powerful approach and use your risk management, I don't know how people can lose money. And the people who follow, with whom I share my trades or even results regularly, I am uh, modestly, I'm saying I'm reasonably profitable in terms of percentage profit. And if I can do that, I can assure you, you have everything that I have, you will also be able to do that. It may take a while to do it as smoothly as I'm doing the workflows. That's normal. I developed the systems, I'm using them for more than 10 years. They evolved over time. I'm always in sync with them. It will take a while, but even if you are a bit slower than me, that doesn't matter. You will still have an edge over other traders who don't have such real-time analytics capabilities across all the dimensions. Thank you once again for joining. Have a great day. And as the analysis shows again, there is no reason not to do that. Trade profitably. Thank you.